Hello and welcome to Juicy Scoop. I'm so excited, and so are you going to be, because I have Queer Eye's biggest star, Bobby Berk.
Hi, thanks for having me, love.
Thank you so much for coming. This is very exciting. Such a huge hit of a show. And of course, I remember the first one, which is really interesting, the change that this second generation of this has gone through.
Very different.
And that's very cool. But before we get into all of that, I just kind of wanted to get a little bit more about you, because you have a very interesting life story, which then got reflected in some very poignant episodes. So you're born in Texas, and you grew up in the Bible Belt.
Missouri.
Now, I have here that you left home at 15. How did that happen?
I knew I was gay. I was living in a very religious household in a very religious town. And
What was the name of your town?
Mount Vernon, Missouri.
Okay.
You know, when you're from Missouri, you say it with an instead of an
Oh,
I.
okay.
You're like,
Wait,
what?
so you're born in Texas.
Born in Texas, yeah.
But then moved. Okay.
Moved very young
How many
to
kids were in
Missouri.
your family?
Just my sister and I.
And are you close to your sister?
Yeah, a bit. Not as close as we used to be.
Who's older?
She is 3 years. Yeah. You just she still lives in the little town, is happy there, never wants to go anywhere. You know. So
Does she watch the show?
Yeah, I think so. We live very different lives.
Yeah. What about the parents?
My mom actually just left LA this morning. She was
great.
visiting. I took her to Mexico last week. We had a nice little family trip down there. Yeah, so they still live in Missouri.
And so she's still with your dad?
Yeah.
And are you close to your dad?
Yeah, we're all close now. For a while we were not. You know, I left home at 15.
Now, how could you physically leave home at 15 and survive?
Stood up and I walked out the door. I mean, I lived in my car. I lived with friends.
Weren't they freaking out?
Yeah, but we didn't talk for a while.
So, you're a sophomore in high school, and you're just like, forget about school.
No, I didn't forget about school. I still drove back to my little town every single day to finish my sophomore year. And then the next year, I had to enroll in high school on my own. So I had to take my parents to court to get me emancipated, to allow me to enroll in school, because they wanted to actually use that as a way to make me to come home. They're like, oh, well, if you want to stay in school, you have to come home. And I'm like, well, no. So I enrolled in Kickapoo, where Brad Pitt went. And oddly, somebody else went there. Do you know Pentatonics?
No.
Scott, Pentatonics, it's a big a cappella group.
I think it sounds familiar.
They just started a new, teenage one.
But wait, was this high school a normal high school? Was it
it was a normal high school.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was a normal high school. Oh,
so
yeah,
wait,
no,
so
in
you
Missouri
had
they
to
don't have
go.
arts
So
high
you
schools.
go to court, and your parents are standing there.
Yeah, I wanted to go to school, so I enrolled in school.
And was your mom at that point like,
yeah, it wasn't.
Please come home?
Yeah, it wasn't great.
Yeah.
But we'll move on from that.
Okay, all right. Well, I need to know the whole story, because we don't have to dwell on it, but I just find that part so interesting.
I have
so
a very good relationship with my parents now,
and
I know that when these things are talked about, it actually makes my mom very sad now.
Okay, then
fences have been mended, everything is great.
Well, look, everybody's situation is different, and everybody's family life is different, and no one should judge that or a marriage or anything else, because. But I think it's great that you're close to your mom now. Yeah. And you think it's because she's happy that you're married to a doctor?
No. She doesn't really care about that. She loves him, though.
That's awesome.
It's a couple of weeks ago, I was on the phone with my dad, and I was out of town, and he's like, oh, is Dewey with you? And I was like, no. And this is my, almost 80-year-old dad, cowboy hat, boots, and he's like, you've just really got a good one. I really like him. It's like, wow, if you had rewound, 20 years, I would have never thought my father would be saying that about my gay husband. But people's minds change.
And don't you feel like you are in such a valuable position to change current people's minds with your show?
Yes.
And you think about that, of the way people thought 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, forget it. It's like, I remember we were watching a movie a few years ago, and it was an Oscar contender, and I can't remember the name of it. I'm going to screw up this guy's name, but it's the Cumberbund, whatever, was the actor. And he played he played the person that basically helped end World War II, but he was gay.
No, not from Sherlock.
Benedict Cumberbatch.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we were watching that movie with my kids, and I just remember my son's like, wait a minute. He's like, wait, how was it was illegal to be gay? He was like, what? You know, and yeah, and I'm like, yeah, and that was 50 years ago.
And I mean, the thing is,
it's crazy when you think about that.
We're in 190 countries on Netflix, and there are many countries that we are in that it still is illegal to be gay.
Wow.
You know, there are many countries where gay sex is illegal. You know, all kinds of things. So we've come a long ways in America, but there's a lot of countries that our show airs in that we have not.
Wow. So so you worked at Applebee's.
Yeah.
What was your favorite app?
My favorite appetizer? I don't remember my favorite appetizer. My favorite dish, though, was, I think, the tequila lime chicken, if you remember that one.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, it was so good. I don't know if they still have it.
I hope
I'm
they
triggered
do.
when I walk into Applebee's now, so I don't go, but it was my favorite.
And when you were doing that, were you, like, how did you get into design? Were you studying it, or were you just working at stores, or
so
what?
I enrolled in high school, and then I think within, like, a month, quickly realized that, I can't afford to actually eat and pay rent and go to school.
At 16 years old.
So I dropped out saying, I'm going to take a semester off and then go back to school. And I got a job as a telemarketer at MCI, sell a long-distance service.
Uh-huh.
And I started doing I don't know why, I just instantly jumped into my Southern accent. I was doing really well selling long distance, and I'm like, I'm just going to do this the rest of my life. You know, not realizing that industry wasn't going to last long.
Selling long distance
yeah,
packages.
telemarketer. Yeah, I was
Can
that
you
person.
do a little for me right now?
Oh,
Ding-a-ling-ling. Hello.
Hi, are you happy with your long distance service? Something like that. God, I don't even remember. Like,
Actually,
so
I'm
much
not.
Of you're not?
No.
So much of that part of my life, I think I've like packaged up and put in the back of my mind and forgot
That's
about.
a lot of rejection, though.
Yeah.
That's actually.
But I turned it into a game. And I would kind of like an acting job. Like I would do different accents. Like I'd do an Australian accent or a British accent, and I'd call people up, and some people I would end up like, I would get these housewives who actually would tell me no, but would always be like, you know what, you just call me back and we'll talk about it some other time. So I would just sit there and have conversations.
They just
with
wanted
them.
a friend.
So I'm adopted. I don't know if you know that.
No.
And so my biological father, I had called once when I was 14. I'm going to jump now to when I'm 16, 17, selling long distance service.
Wait, can I just ask a question about that? Did you grow up knowing that you were adopted?
Since I was about 8. I was adopted by my aunt and uncle. My biological mom was young when she got pregnant, so her older sister and husband adopted me legally. And so my biological mother in my mind became my aunt, and my aunt and uncle became my mom and dad.
And did the aunt and the woman who raised you, or biological mom and the other mom, did they have a good sister relationship?
Yeah, so they were both in Mexico with me last week.
So that was all fine. That never got weird or anything.
Never got weird. No. But so my biological father, I called once when I was like 14, found him in the phone book, and then I acted like I was like somebody from the bank.
Yeah.
When his wife answered, and I'm like, I'm just gonna say Roy is his name, even though that's not it.
Right.
I'm like, is Roy there? And she's like, no, he's not here yet. Can I take a message? And I was like, this is George from Boatman's Bank, and I'm just calling about a loan, blah, blah, blah. And so she's like, okay, I'll take a message. And then, like, hours later, I called him back, and he was home, and he was like, who is this? I'm like, a mistake you made 14 years ago. And he was like, Bobby. And I'm all... And I hung up the phone. And I didn't talk to him again for years, and I actually found him by finding his parents' number in the database at MCI, and I called them over and over and over and over and over trying to sell them long distance. And finally my grandmother was like, you know what, I enjoy talking to you, young man, but I am just not going to change. I go, well, I'm your grandson.
Oh my God.
And like dead
That's
silence,
so
and all of a sudden you hear her go, George, like calling her husband. And that's how
And how old were you then?
I was 17, probably
And then
16,
did they say,
17.
we want to see you? Can we meet you?
Yeah, I ended up getting in contact with my biological father then. At that point, he had been through a divorce. He was dating a great woman who he's now married to, 17, 20 years ago. And we started talking on AOL Instant Message.
Yeah.
And he kept saying, I want to meet you, I want to meet you. And I'm like, no, because... I was gay, but I hadn't told him that. And I'm like, he's not going to want anything to do with me if he knows that.
Yeah.
And sometimes when he would be at work, I would IM him, and his girlfriend would end up talking to me. And she was like, why don't you come out here? He really wants to meet you. And I'm like, he's not going to want to meet me because I want him to meet the real me, and he's not going to want to, and I'm not going to go through that. And she's like, what, are you gay? And I'm like, yeah. She's like, we don't care. She's like, I've got 2 lesbian sisters. We could care less. And so the next day I was on a plane to Texas to meet him. Yeah.
And you're still good with them?
I mean, we like randomly will message
Yeah.
on Facebook now and then. You know, I have an amazing father who raised me.
Right, that's
you know,
great.
I don't need another one. You know, I don't have any ill feelings for
Right.
my biological father. You know, we all have situations that we may not always deal with in the
Yeah.
best way. My situation turned out great. You know, I may have had some rough years in my high school days just due to the fact that I was gay and where I was from was not okay with that. And religion, unfortunately, brainwashes people into thinking the wrong thing.
Do you ever like walk around as, a gay guy today and look at these gay kids and be like, in my day, like it was
I walked to the gay club uphill in the snow both ways.
Yes. Because especially living in LA, like, my son goes to this school just down the street, and it's like they had the first lesbian homecoming queens like 10 years ago, and it's just, no big deal and everything. And then I hear like a story like yours, and you're still such a young person that I'm like, yeah, exactly. Like just the way your parents would be like, we had to walk in the snow, or when I have to like tell my kids like, I had to mail things. I had to put a stamp on a headshot. Like they're like,
you mail
what?
it by hitting enter, right? And you're like, no. You're like, I had to lick a stamp.
Yeah,
Walk to the mailbox.
Do you ever feel like that a little bit? Like happy, but also like, fuck, they have it easy.
Well, yes and no. Because again, where I'm from, they still don't really.
Yes.
Somewhat.
Right. No, definitely not where you're from.
Yeah,
I'm just
but
when
here
you're
in LA, yeah.
being here in
But
LA,
even in LA, there are still, unfortunately, some issues.
Yes, absolutely.
But yes, way better than it used to be.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and I want to say that is interesting because that's a common thing. Like when people do know that they're adopted and have a good relationship with the people that raised them, but then that curiosity is, met and they get to meet that person. It's always like, okay, well now where do we go from here? Like and I think people hearing the story want to hear like, oh, and then da da da. But it's still like awkward and strange, and there's, a whole the first part of your life, and it's like filling it in, and then they have their own kids and you have your sister, but I would think meeting them and getting to know them and that would be good and healthy and healing to anybody that's adopted.
It was. It satisfied the curiosity.
Yes.
He's a good man. Don't hold anything against him. But yeah, I didn't need another parent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so then I love this part. Okay, so then you moved to New York. You're yes.
Went from Missouri to Denver.
Oh, and then in Denver, is that where you worked at the Gap and Bed Bath & Beyond?
No, well, I worked at the Gap.
Oh, okay.
And I worked at the Bombay Company, and I worked at Express and Applebee's and everywhere. And the Great Indoors. And then I worked at Bed Bath & Beyond in New York.
Did you ever get sick of seeing those 20% off coupons?
I used to cry when I walked to work. I think I only worked there about 3 months.
Because of the coupons.
Only because of the coupons. It's expired! No, I worked at the one on 6th Avenue and 18th Street in New York. And at the time, it was the only one in New York. And it was the only type of store like that in New York. So it was insanely busy. They did more business in that store in a day than districts would do in a month.
Right.
Like they had one room upstairs with like 10 people that did nothing but just count money, like a bookie. And so I ran the front end, so customer service, so returns,
yes.
which,
it's never
Aerobeds / rent-a-beds, plungers, they'll take anything back.
Oh,
yeah, it was gross. And, it's New Yorkers, so New Yorkers are intense. And then also
God, hilarious.
The cash register area, and it was a lot.
Okay, so then I love the story that you were fired from Restoration Hardware while Tom from the original Queer Eye was actually filming upstairs.
That's how I ended up at Bed Bath & Beyond right after that.
So wait, tell that story.
So I was the design manager there. So I was in the store the night before.
At Restoration Hardware.
Yeah, at Restoration Hardware. I was in the store the night before getting everything perfect for filming.
Right. And were you excited that they were filming?
Oh,
were you a
absolutely.
fan of the show?
Huge fan of the show.
Okay.
And I think we were all supposed to leave at 8, but we ended up leaving at like midnight or 1 because I'm a Virgo perfectionist and I wanted it to be perfect.
Yes.
And the next day I get in at like 1 in the afternoon and they're already upstairs filming. And I realized that I had forgot to clock everyone out. So I went to go do it and I noticed that the general manager had already clocked us all out at 8 when we were supposed to leave. And I was like, oh, well, that's not right. So I fixed it. Not supposed to fix your own time. I had literally fired somebody the week before for doing that. And another manager there who wanted my job told on me. And,
Of course.
Yeah, I got fired. And it's funny, the manager who fired me when I got cast on the show, she messaged me and she's like, aren't you glad I fired you? I'm like, yes, thank you.
Oh, had you kept in touch with her?
Oh, yeah, because it wasn't like a, you're fired, get out. It was a, I actually had a great relationship with her. She was a great mentor.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, it was just one of those technicalities that...
She just couldn't get around.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so then, so how long have you been with your husband?
Since 2004, so almost 16
Oh, my God.
years. Yeah.
How did you guys meet?
We met online on gay.com.
There was a site called gay.com?
Yeah.
Not very creative, if I could
I mean,
say.
it's to the point.
It really is.
You know what you're
Guys
getting.
are to the point. They really are.
You know, it went from gay.com and then Manhunt. I mean, yeah, very to the point. And Grindr, yeah.
Yeah.
Way before smartphones, though. I mean, I think it was probably still like DSL.
Really?
Yeah. And DSL is in the internet connection.
Yes.
Yeah.
Not dick sucking lips
Correct.
like Erica Jane likes to do. These lips are for DSL. So you guys met. That's crazy. How old were you then? You must have been very young when you fell in love.
I think it was like 22-ish.
Wow.
He was home in LA. He had just finished dental school at the University of Connecticut. And then he was like, I don't think I want to be a dentist after going through dental school. Overachiever. So then he's like, I'm going to go to med school and be a surgeon. So he was in LA.
What, like it's hard?
I know.
I always think of that. Whenever, like with Reese Witherspoon from the movie Legally Blonde. What, like getting into Harvard Law School is hard? Being a surgeon's hard? Yeah.
He's gay.
Yeah.
Don't be tapping your last season product jewels at me, honey.
Yeah.
And so what was I
Talking about how he said, I want to be a surgeon.
He was home here in LA, where he's partially from, for the summer.
And now are you in LA when you guys meet?
No, I was in New York.
Oh,
so
my
he
gosh,
was
you're
like
making it
online,
really
like lining
hard.
guys up for
Okay.
when he gets to New York.
Got it. Okay.
And we exchanged numbers, didn't think anything of it really. And
Uh-huh.
then he texted me when he moved to New York, and we met, and the rest is history.
And so then he became a surgeon while studying in New York?
Yeah, we met a week before he started med school. So I went through med school and residency and everything.
Do you feel like you're smarter because you're with a smarter person? Like, do you feel like there's certain things that you just know because he was studying it or explaining it to you?
No. No.
You just like zone it out.
Yeah. Oh, well, he also, I mean, I think the first like 8 years of our relationship, he said like 3 words. He's very quiet. He's very shy. He keeps to himself. Not anymore. God, I wish he was a little more now. But he was just one of those people who was so focused on school.
Yeah, I
like
can't
all
imagine.
my friends actually used to think that he was stuck up and an asshole because he never really talked to them.
Yeah.
But it's just his brain was just fried.
Right.
You know, if he did take a few minutes to go out with me because I whined and complained because he never did, then he was just exhausted. He'd just kind of like zone out when we were anywhere. So, but then he finished residency and now he doesn't shut up.
So then you started your own company way before the show.
Oh God, yeah. So after Bed Bath & Beyond, I went to an Italian linen company.
Mm-hmm.
They were expanding their brand in the U.S., wanted me to help them with U.S. stuff.
Yeah.
And that didn't go well. Like everything I tried to direct them on, they'd fight me on like flat sheets. You know, Americans like flat sheets, but Italians do not. It's just the duvet cover and the fitted sheet.
Oh, interesting.
And so like I'd be like, oh, well, if you're gonna sell sheets in America, you need to do a flat sheet. And they're like, no, I do the duvet cover and the fitted sheet. And so eventually they fired me, telling me I was worthless, wouldn't amount to anything. So then I went to work for a company called Portico because the Italian linen company manufactured for them. I knew the owner and he was like, dude, come work for me. They're crazy. So I started managing one of their stores and then worked my way up to buyer and then creative director. And then I launched an e-commerce division for them. Unfortunately, they ended up going bankrupt. And so while they were in bankruptcy, I was the sole employee left. I was still running the e-commerce division for my apartment on the Upper East Side, making the company look like it was going, because the owner was like, when we get out of bankruptcy, I'm going to make you a partner. And I'm like, great.
Now, are you getting paychecks, though? Ugh,
Yeah.
that's scary.
And so, running the website, fake employee names, answering phones, making
In
it
different
like,
accents.
Oh, yeah. G'day, Portico. And so then I get a letter one day from the court, cease and desist, shut the website down, the intellectual property's been sold. And so I'm like, well, crap, what am I going to do? So I cloned the database that I had built for porticohome.com, and I quickly went online and registered bobbyberkhome.com, and I'm like, well, maybe I'll sell a sofa or two while I look for another job. And that was 2006. I sold a few more than a couple sofas.
So how did that work? Like, you would buy furniture that was made and that you liked, almost like you were a buyer for yourself?
Yeah, I would.
Like, you're an interior designer, but
Yep.
you'd buy it
I would curate, and I would buy it at wholesale, and I'd ship it to the customer. Yeah.
Oh, and put scenes together, so then they would also buy like a couch and a side table, or
Eventually, yeah.
Yeah.
Back then the internet was still very, very simple.
Yeah.
I think I was one of only like 2 furniture companies online. 'Cause
Wow,
back
that's
then, and it was even
great.
hard to get furniture manufacturers to sell to me, because back then they're like, what do you mean sell furniture online? Like, no, if you don't have a store, we're not going to sell to you. So eventually that was one of the reasons why I opened up a store. So online started doing really well. And then one day I get a call from the Italians.
Mm-hmm. Those same Italians?
Same Italians. And they're like...
Did they still want to talk about that flat sheets don't matter?
They learned. But they called and they're like, hey, we see you have a brand now and it's doing really well. We have a store in Soho. It's not doing very well. Do you want to buy us out? I'm like, oh, wait, I thought I was worthless and would never amount to anything.
Yeah.
And so they wanted me to become partners with them, buy into half the company. They had like $600,000 in debt. And to get half the company, I had to take all that on. And all of my friends were like, you're crazy. This is a really stupid idea. But I looked at it as, brands spend decades trying to get to Soho.
Yes.
And once you are there, you are a legitimate brand. So I'm like, well, hell, if I can skip decades of work,
Yeah.
why would I not risk that, And so I came in, I turned the store into like a closeout store for Italian sheets. And I contacted all the vendors that they owed all this money to, and I'm like, hey, if you will send me more product, I will get you paid back. I had a guy with like a big sign hanging on him, standing on the corner of Spring and Crosby.
Classy.
And it was so classy.
Yeah.
In all honesty, though, I should have left it as a samples allocation, because that thing made money. People
Yeah.
love a deal on sheets.
Everyone loves a deal, especially rich people.
Yeah. And so I ended up paying off the debt in like 9 months. And at that point, the store was making money and they were siphoning money out. And I had to have a very serious come to Jesus talk with them. And after that talk, I never saw them again. Long story.
Okay, but then you got to keep your store, though.
I kept, yep.
Okay.
So I then turned it into a Bobby Berk home store.
Awesome.
And furniture and bedding and everything that a home store has. And then,
So when did the show come to you, and how did that happen?
so I opened up my first store in 2007. November 2007, and then 2008 crash happened. So I was like, great decision. And so after New York, I opened up Miami, and then Atlanta, and then LA to get brand awareness out there.
Yeah.
It was never really my intention to stay in retail. Like, I hated retail, but
Yeah.
I knew that getting the brand out there would eventually turn into something that I could license and then maybe eventually sell. So I started licensing things, furniture, rugs, art, wallpaper. And the more I licensed...
Now, how do you license an art? What do you mean? Like, you see a cool photo and you buy it from someone and then
No, so I do art. Have you seen The Morning Show?
Yes.
So a lot of the art in The Morning Show is actually my paintings, and I had no idea until my employees started screenshotting pictures of Jennifer Aniston standing there and Matt Lauer's office.
Yeah.
That's what it's about, right? I haven't seen it yet. And one of the paintings
Oh,
right
yeah.
next to her head is one of my paintings.
Oh, okay.
So I licensed it to an art distributor, an art manufacturer, and they
So
sell
you
it.
paint?
Sometimes, yeah.
And when did you start doing that?
Early teen, or not early teens, early 20 teens.
Oh, so that's great.
Yeah. And so as leases were up on stores, I started closing stores because I started licensing out more things, and other retailers started carrying my things. And then I got out of retail and I focused more on just interior design and product design. And then 2015, I moved to LA, opened up a design firm here for interior design and products. And then 2017, my publicist for my design firm, Courtney at Inc., she found out that they were recasting for Queer Eye. And so she got me a Skype interview, and I thought it went awful.
Really? Why did you think it went awful?
So, of course, like, I set up a cute little area in my apartment to make him like, oh, I'm so designy.
You moisturized.
And then, absolutely. Got that hair, real high to Jesus. And then the power went out in my building like 10 minutes before. And I was like, crap. So I jumped in my car and drove to my office as fast as I could. It was just like a mile away. I get up to my office, and like the wall behind me is black, so it made me look like powder, and I'm like all sweaty and disheveled from like rushing to this as fast as I could. And it just, I didn't think it went well.
Yeah.
But I guess it did. And so I got a call back to come in for in-person casting, which at that point they had went through like 3,000 people. And I came in at like the last week and a half and got in.
And so were you like up against other people in your category?
Yes. So in the end, they brought in like the top 40-something. So there was anywhere from 5 to 7 people in your category. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And was it the same producers and creators of the original?
Yeah. So the original creator is David Collins. He is one of the owners of Scout Productions. It's David Collins, Michael Williams, and Rob Eric. So they were a part of casting, and then ITV is who actually does all the production now. So there were ITV casting executives there, and then there was tons of Netflix executives there.
So then there must have been some deal that they did that they had no ties to have to go back to Bravo.
I don't know the ins and outs of that. I do a little bit, but I don't know the exact details, so I won't speak for them.
Yeah.
But
what made them decide to bring it back then, after all those years?
I'm not 100% sure, but the conversations that I've heard is that Netflix had the original Queer Eye for the Straight Guy on Netflix.
Oh, okay.
And it did so well
that they went back to them. Yeah.
Wait, this is something we should do. And we're the first unscripted show that Netflix really
that's right.
produced. Yeah.
And then when you run into the original guys, which I'm sure you have, is it awkward or
Not
weird?
at all. No, and I mean, I've known Tom for years. His office and my office used to be in the same office building in New York. We're in the same industry, so that we have twice a year like big furniture conventions.
I mean, you don't think any of them were a little hurt that like they didn't even have an option to come back?
I mean, I'm sure they probably were. You know, I know that if actually in 15 years, no, I would be like, take the baton.
Right,
I'm
because
tired.
because they do know that kind of filming is so exhausting.
Oh, absolutely. And back then, God, they did like 40-something episodes a season. Mm-hmm. You know, I don't know how they did it. Well, I do. They filmed in New York. They all lived in New York. They got to go home every night. It was like a regular job. You know, if we could do that, I'd do 40 episodes a year too. But it's, you know, I don't want to stay in Georgia and Missouri and
because you guys go to all these different locations.
So we're gone a big chunk of the year.
Yeah. I remember when they were on Oprah, that was like a huge deal.
I know, I'm sad that there is no Oprah show for me to go on.
I predict she's coming back.
I got to meet her at the Women Empowerment Awards where she was getting an award. And you know, it's not that I wasn't an Oprah fan. I mean, who's not an Oprah fan that has a heart and a brain?
Yeah.
But I'm not like, oh my God, Oprah. But after that, I'm like, oh my God, Oprah. Like, her speech had me in tears. She's just so inspiring and such a wonderful person.
I'm definitely like a child that, you know, woman, teenager that was like raised on Oprah. Like would get, you know,
it's 4 o'clock. Where's everybody gone?
Well,
Oprah's on.
Unfortunately, it was 3 o'clock in LA.
So
I'd get out at like 2:55 and I would hop on my bike and ride as fast as I could because there was no, you know, DVR or anything.
Right.
You know, and then then when I learned how I could tape like the VHS tapes, then if it was a real juicy one coming up, then I was like, oh my God, I have to get home for this. So, yeah, she's the greatest show ever, you know. Okay, so let me have some questions from the fans here. Let me get into it. Do you get annoyed that you have more work than the other cast members? Because actually someone quoted this. Bobby Berk does the most work on the show. He gets to renovate a whole house while Anthony, am I saying right? Anthony, just makes some ceviche. How do you feel about that?
I don't get annoyed, but I know the other boys definitely get annoyed that everyone always asks this question. We were on press tour in Australia, and we're in a junket. You know, they're rotating out like 40 different journalists.
Yeah.
And the question that was always asked is, Bobby, how does it feel to be the hardest working person on Queer Eye? And also then, Antony, why do you love avocado so much? And he was so annoyed by that question, and they were all clearly annoyed by the question about the work. So finally, our publicist had to tell every single journalist that came in, they're like, you can't ask about workload, and you can't ask about avocados.
Hilarious.
I knew going in that my vertical just required more labor. You know,
Yes.
I knew that.
I mean, do you have more people behind the scenes helping you get this
absolutely.
done? I mean,
yeah, absolutely. There'd be no way.
Yeah.
You know, it just physically would be impossible, even if I had weeks to get
Yeah.
all that done. You know, I have a great team. But yeah, no, I mean, I knew that going in, so it doesn't annoy me.
So in
It exhausts me
reestablishing
sometimes,
the
but-
show, you know, the show is very different now with you guys really reflecting of the times too. But also what I think is really cool is, you know, well, that it's not just guys anymore. It's not just straight guys that you're helping. And, but also like that it's not as,
Catty and mean.
yes, snarky, catty, mean, and snarky. And, you know, how did that come about? Was that a conscious effort or?
Oh, kind of. So, and when I say catty and mean, I'm definitely not knocking the original cast. You know,
Right.
Like, back then, people could wrap their head around, you know, the funny catty gays, the
Yes.
designer, the fashion person. Like, they could wrap their head like that's what gays were.
And I also think that was a little bit dangerous too for the culture of all of us, because then it became this thing like, I always find it really offensive when women are like, my gays, and
Right.
and oh, you know, I need to, you know, you're gonna be my gay husband and my gay best friend, like
Like we're an accessory.
accessory
Yeah.
or a dog
Yeah,
or something,
yeah.
like oh puppy
Yeah.
or whatever, and it's like
Yeah.
I always find that really rude, and I kind of feel like who are you to? And I think the show kind of helped that culture a little bit because everyone felt like, oh my god, I love him, yes,
They're
bitch.
big gay superheroes,
Yes.
you know?
Yeah.
And that's really what the show played them as, you know? They're
Right.
gay superheroes. They swoop in
Yes.
a day, and, you know, they called it one gay day, and they fixed everything, which it wasn't a day.
Yes.
You know, but it was really the first, I think, makeover show ever.
Yes,
and, you know,
definitely.
back then, people would believe anything. You know, we, in the very beginning, we were all like, even the producers, like, there's no way we can try to pass this off as being done in a day. Like, people are smarter now when it
Yes.
comes to TV.
They're
but
more
it-
sophisticated. To
yeah,
how
like
it is.
they realize how it works. So the original creators and producers, they wanted to make the same show to an extent. I know they had some new visions, but I think they felt that we had a winning recipe. Why would we change it that much? And again, that's not a knock on them. They had an amazing winning
Right.
recipe. Any Emmy-winning show, why change it? But we got in there, and I think it was really due to the fact of the very first episode, Tom. So season 1 and 2 were all shot together. We shot 16 episodes straight through, and they were all mixed up between season 1 and 2. But Tom really was our very first episode. And so we all kind of saw, like we were told to go in there, pick him apart, pick his house apart, and we get in there, this poor little sad old man, and we're like, God, no. So we, you know, being the genuinely kind people that all 5 of us are, we're just like, we started, like, you know, kind of picking, but then we're like, but oh my God, but this is so amazing about you, and look at this beard, and, you know, your house is cute, it just needs a little bit of this, and we started seeing that, when we're showing him a little love and compassion and building him up, like, we are right in front of our faces seeing somebody's whole demeanor change.
Yes.
And we're like, wow, this is really powerful. And I still don't think we were really consciously thinking about it. It was just the way we were.
Just
you
being
know?
authentic.
And by the end of that episode, seeing him cry and seeing him kind of accept himself and love himself a little more, we were all like, oh, wait, I think this is what we need to be doing. Like, it's not in our nature to be the catty, bitchy gays, you know. It's a different time too. Like, there's so much negativity. I think people are so tired of the Teresa Giudice flippin' table reality television.
Yeah.
You know, it's just, especially after the election, and everyone just in real life ripping into each other constantly.
Yeah, and just being made aware that that there were certain things that people said and did and joked about for so long that really is shitty, and it really took someone in the last few years to point it out and be like, Well, why are you criticizing the distance between their two eyes?
No.
Like, how the fuck are you supposed to fix the distance between your two eyes?
I have a doctor. I can tell you. No.
But I mean, things like that, like when you're like, okay, you know, and especially when it's become natural in your own like comedic cadence for a long time and being comedian, like there's a lot of things that on my show Chelsea lately that we made fun of that nobody called us out on.
You made fun of people on that show?
No one called us on it or anything. I couldn't believe what we got away with. And we look back at it now and I'm like, thank God E took it off YouTube because, you know, it was only 5.5 years ago and you're like, holy shit.
No.
That it was off, yeah.
I can remember a moment where I'm sitting there at home. I still lived in New York. This had to have been like, God, how long was that show? It's been like 2010-ish.
We started summer of 2008, and then we ended like September 2014.
I remember that show used to make me laugh so hard that for an hour, I'd sit there laughing to where one day I was like, oh my God, Chelsea Lately's going to give me laugh lines. And when I would watch it, I would sit there like this to keep my face from like creasing for an hour.
That's awesome. I love that.
You guys were phenomenal.
Yeah, it was
But
super
like
fun.
some of the things said.
But there were some things that I'm like, I can't believe that we did it and got away with. But I think that the audience at that time was such like it wasn't a huge audience, but it was a really loyal cult audience that really knew us intimately. And I think when someone's watching it regularly, just like my podcast, and knows me intimately, that if there is something that's, you know, deemed offensive by someone, they've listened to 400 episodes or they've watched 700 shows. So they're like, I know that these people are good people. And that, if someone would have thought about it for a second longer, probably that should have been edited out. But it wasn't, and tomorrow's a new show. And I think that was sort of the attitude. And even though social media was there, it wasn't as powerful to get like your, you know, concerns out to the world or point someone out of like, watch this little video that I took off my TV and put on Twitter, you know?
I mean, I can't say anything now without somebody getting offended. And just like the silliest, like not even mean things. Like I was posting pictures of my family in Mexico and people started coming at me because I had endorsed Warren. And I was like, really? I go, on pictures
Elizabeth Warren?
Yeah, I'm like, on pictures of my family, you want to come... I'm like, is there nothing sacred anymore?
I know, that's the other thing about the politics thing. It's like, it's unfortunate because everyone's sharing their opinion, but if your opinion doesn't match your fans' opinion, then they're bothered by that. Mm-hmm. How can you not think exactly the way I think about every single thing all of the time? Mm-hmm. Because I like you. And I watch your show. Yep. So therefore, I'm going to tell you, I don't like who you're endorsing.
Yeah, I'm like, thanks for making this beautiful moment with my family that I decided to share with you guys about you and your political views.
And then you also have to say to yourself, what's wrong with me? Why am I letting this one person bug me when 7,000 people was like, have a great time and liked it?
Oh, and then you just
you're mad at yourself.
And then you're like, I'm not going to respond, but then you do.
Yes.
Like the other day, my godson, he's half Vietnamese, half Italian, and I posted the cutest picture of him. And a fan was like, oh my God, I have one too. Mixed babies are the best. You know, my love, he's so cute. And somebody responded, they're like, you know what, that is just horrible, referring to them as an accessory, like, mixed babies are so in right now. And I'm like, oh my God, this mother was just complimenting about how adorable my godson is and about how adorable hers is, and you've made this about something horrible. And again, I wasn't going to respond, but then I did.
And what did you say? Is that what you said?
Yeah. I was like, how dare you? I'm like, I can pretty much 99.9% sure that my mother did not mean that her child is like an accessory. You know, give me a break.
That's so funny. But there's people, though, that they wake up in the morning. I keep saying we have to do a video of the day in the life of a troll, because I truly believe they get up and they're like, and they're following you because they like you, and then all of a sudden they're like,
then you're like, damn.
I found something that could be offensive. They said I have one like that too. That makes it sound like it's less human because it's not all white. You're a racist, and you're like, oh my God, and they're probably just tingling with excitement. And so, yes.
Yeah, I shouldn't even acknowledge them, but sometimes it's
hard
just
not to.
Such a stupid comment that I'm like, for real? like, you need to be called out, because then, like, once I call them out, then, you know, the fans come for them. And I'm like, maybe you've learned your lesson and you won't do that again. Or maybe they just are so starved for attention that they'll continue doing it. I don't know.
How was filming in Japan?
Amazing. My husband and I traveled to Japan a lot, and I love it. I mean, Tokyo makes my little Virgo heart sing.
You love it. I've never been.
I mean, it's between Tokyo and Mexico City, like, they teeter between the two biggest cities in the world, and you won't find a speck of trash on the ground in Tokyo.
Wow.
Like, you don't even find trash cans on the street, because there's no need for trash cans on the street, because you wouldn't have trash on the street, because you wouldn't be eating on the street. Like, why would you do that? That doesn't make sense.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so there's no need to, like, have a trash can on the street, because you wouldn't have trash on the street. And if for some crazy reason you do, everyone has, like, a little bag in their bag that they put their own trash in and they take it home. It's just...
That's
like,
amazing.
The trains are on time. Everything is so organized. Everyone is so respectful of everyone around them. It's a really great society. I mean, there's things wrong with it too, just like there are here.
Right.
You know, but for me,
but
being
that
a Virgo,
aspect, that's nice. Did everybody mesh well at first? Like, when they put the cast together, was that the first time you were meeting your castmates?
Yes. So that was this picture, our least favorite picture.
Why is it your least favorite?
Because I just don't think any of us look like this anymore.
Let's go to the next one.
Yeah, I mean, I've definitely aged since then.
Well, that's the old one.
I know.
Hold on. This
Thanks
one's
for putting
cute.
that. This one was recent. Yeah.
That's
this is recent.
cute.
This looks like us now.
Yeah. And then this one's good. You like this
one?
one?
Like a year and a half ago. It's not bad. We were getting there. We were finding.
Did you guys fight over? Because you guys in this photo, and you guys can see this on YouTube.com/JuicyScoop. But did anyone fight over who was going to be what? Because you have #Fab5 and you got the B.
Until this moment, I had never even realized I had the B.
Am I starting some shit now?
Not at all. No. I didn't even notice the Hollywood signs in there. See, we have produced so much content in the last 2 years. I barely remember this day.
But you like that one. Well, that's your husband. What about this one?
This was the same day as that black and white one. Not our favorite either. Although Jonathan looks
well, I mean,
cute,
Jonathan got to be the star, and he got a fan. Did you guys all get a fan? Only he got a fan.
That's Photoshop. Yeah, I mean he does love a fan and a photo shoot, but no, because the fan wouldn't have been behind him. That was some very creative work from Photoshop. But yeah, I mean, it looks like a great fan.
I did a video of me as him. I'll show it to you after. And I acted like I was redoing my husband's hair. And it was crazy because I just used my own hair. You know, I parted down the middle, and I got like a mustache and a beard. And no makeup, obviously. And my sister freaked out because I looked so much like my brother. It was crazy. But it was, I'll show it to you after. It was really fun, and we'll post it when we play this. But, but you guys, so was that the first time you met everybody?
Yes, so we didn't know each other before.
And nobody else knew each other?
Nope, nobody. There was somebody in my category that I was competing against.
No, but it wasn't like two of them were friends.
None of us knew each other.
And then...
So in the very beginning, I would say it was Tan, Karamo, and I kind of just like ended up sitting next to each other and really clicked. And so we would always just kind of gravitate back to each other during the 3 days of casting, and then eventually Jonathan kind of twirled into the group, and Anthony, a sultry look, got into the group, and we just naturally had chemistry, and we really naturally liked each other. And I think
everybody's still happy with each other.
Yeah, I mean, we're like brothers. There's moments we are, and there's moments we aren't.
You know what's really interesting about that? Because I raise sons. And I talk about...
I raise sons. Stop talking to them about, like, their accessories are things. Like, they're just, like, a chicken in a farm.
No, but I really find, the male species very interesting. And I talk about this in my act more and more, about the difference between, like, boy mom and girl mom, and how, as your kids get older, like, I start to absorb the positive male energy, but also the fuck it male energy of my sons, and how, like, the girl moms, they're the ones who run the school, and sometimes they can get even more caught up in the drama as their daughters get to, like, 12, and more shit starts to happen. And I've just thought of this now. I hadn't thought of this before the interview, but the fact that you guys have been together for 4 years and you all get along,
no,
and when you...
2017.
Oh, fourth, but you're starting your fourth season, sorry.
No,
You told me you're starting a fourth season. Third season?
No. We already finished filming 5.
Okay, well, I'm not.
Yeah, I mean,
well,
it's insane. We do nothing
okay,
but film.
but okay, so it's been
We met each other
so 2.5 years. Can you
February 2017.
Okay, so it's been a couple years.
Yeah.
Okay. My point is, we're missing the point. The point is, I just thought of this. When you think about, like, what's gone on in The View all these years, and there was a very juicy book about the women of The View and working on shows like that.
Some of them are my favorite.
And some of them are my favorite, too. But I'm saying, I don't know what that means. But I mean, but there's been, you know, throughout history of like women working together. Unfortunately, I don't know if people are looking for the catfights. We obviously see it on the Real Housewives shows. And what happens in those type of situations a lot, we'll be watching this fight on TV that's about how someone didn't invite someone to their, you know, skincare line party or didn't show up for it. But what you really find out is they're jealous that one person got the ad or got the, you know, Mohegan Sun appearance over the other, and we were supposed to do it together, and you fucked me over and said you'd do it for half the price, and whatever. Those are the things I find out later as being someone who's like into that world. And so it's just kind of interesting, and I wonder if it's because, in fact, you're men, and that there isn't that kind of like catfighting and jealousy, and if someone's popping or someone's getting something more, or you're just like, hey, we're in it together and your success has no reflection of mine. Why is it with those other shows sometimes with women? Could it be? I think it could be a little gender-ish.
I mean, I also think
Could be a
that
place.
is...
It could play a
I
role.
mean, it's kind of what people are looking for in those shows. Like, half the drama is probably not, more than half, it's not even real. It's
No, it is.
Purdue. Oh, well. We've all always believed in the law of abundance.
Yeah.
Like, you know, we're all in our own lanes. You know, we're all usually 99.9% genuinely happy for the other ones when we do things.
You know what it is? It's like, because I watch a lot of these housewife shows. It's like they all get on the show now, being that it's been on for 12 years. And they're like, I got to get a product, whatever that is. Skinny girl, you know, she made it happen. So now everybody comes on and they're like, I'm going to either sell pajamas or candles or a cooking whatever. And then they start to film and they don't like each other anymore. And so then all of a sudden someone's like, you know what, I'm going to shit on this one's product on camera. And that happens a lot. And it's really kind of awful.
Yeah. We're not those people.
I know, and I think it's because you're all... I mean, obviously, you can't be compared to housewives because that is just women that are not, you know, kind of ridiculous and fun personalities, and then they try to be like experts. The fact that you guys all had your own careers and then put them together, I think is amazing. But I also think in traveling, in becoming, you know, hugely famous in a short amount of time, and getting love from fans and stuff, I think it says a lot on all of your characters that you have been able to remain friends and professional and wanting the best for everybody. So I'm just like congratulating you as I'm thinking it out.
You know, it's crazy because
I hope my sons are friends forever.
We've spent more time together in 2.5 years than most people spend with their best friend in their entire life.
And it's never like someone got a better room at a hotel.
No, that's not allowed. You know, there are things that we do to make sure that stupid stuff like that doesn't happen. You know, like season 1 and 2, we lived in an apartment building in Atlanta. We all had different apartments. And there was some annoyance because some of the apartments were better. But it wasn't planned like that. It's just like I got there, of course, 2 weeks before the other boys.
So you picked the best one.
Not the best one. I actually picked the smallest one. I just picked the quietest one.
That's
and
smart.
then poor Anthony got stuck with the one that I got out of. But in the end, he got one twice the size of mine. It was on a louder street. I'm a very sensitive sleeper. He's not a sensitive sleeper, so it was fine. But, you know, so back then there were those little things that like, so now when we were in Kansas City, we all lived in a high-rise building and we all lived in the exact same row. So we all had the exact same apartment.
That's good.
And so there's things that we do now to just make sure that there aren't any things that make us, you know, inside be pissed off. Like, you know, why did Tan get 2-bedroom apartments and the rest of us got a 1? You know, in the beginning, it wasn't anything that was thought of. It was like, oh, that's all that was available. But now producers are very careful to make sure that there aren't any things that would cause an issue.
Yeah, you definitely don't want that. Who are you closest to?
probably say Karamo. We both live in LA. He actually lives not too far from here. So we get to see each other the most. In the very beginning, I would probably say Jonathan, because he lived in LA. And before we started filming, we hung out like every single day.
Yeah.
I'd say the one I have the most in common with is Tan. We both had businesses before. We both had brands. So we still kind of operate our lives as businesses.
So if you're to
so
be,
we get each other the most.
you could only pick one, and you're stuck on an island alone
Tan.
for a year. Okay.
I love them all, but I don't know. I think he said this before, because in the very beginning, sometimes him and I would go at each other a little bit. And then we both were like, oh, like we're a lot alike. That's why this is happening. We're too much alike. So yeah, I don't know, like we just get each other. So I think that we would absolutely, if we had to be stuck with each other forever, we would know exactly what to do not to drive each other crazy. Like Jonathan and I drive each other crazy. Like, not in a bad way. It's just we're two very different people.
Yeah.
And he's, from day one, he's like, you remind me exactly of my older brother. And so we have this very, like, sibling personality
brothers,
together.
yeah.
Like, sometimes he aggravates the hell out of me, and I aggravate the hell out of him. But if anyone ever tried to comfort them, I'd kill him.
Yes.
Like, I love him to death.
That's definitely
we're
brothers.
just like brothers,
Your most memorable special episode that you love the most?
Probably Yoko-san in Japan, the first episode of the Japan season.
Yes, that was good. How do you decide to budget and how many rooms they get to redo per episode?
It kind of varies. There really isn't a specific formula. It's kind of based on story. And sometimes it changes. Like if you look back at season 1, Corey the cop, based on what producers had told me, because I have to prepare. There's no way I can do all that like that. I have to do some type of preparation. I had prepared to redo his basement, his man cave for him and his friends. And then that week when I got there and I realized he was spending way too much time in his man cave and not spending time with his family, I was like, wait a minute, no, I'm not touching this man cave. I'm going to redo your upstairs, so that way maybe you'll spend some more time with your family up here. So it kind of varies.
That's cool.
Sometimes I'll be like, I only have the manpower to do this in this room, and then producers will be like, but we can't do a reveal without them walking in the house and their living room being done too. And so last minute, they'll throw another room on me.
And so do they say, we're going to give you this amount of dollars, and you say, I can do it for this, or I can't?
It's the same amount every single episode, every single season.
Well, if they add in a living room to you, then can't you say, okay, give me 10 more?
So we have an allotted budget for the amount of episodes that we do, and some episodes cost me more, some episodes cost me less. But at the end of the day, I have a certain amount of money I have to spend. So if I go,
a lot of work.
If I go way over on an episode, I need to find episodes to come in under. And
Got
luckily,
it.
I don't have to personally. It's season 1 and 2, I dealt with that a lot, but after that, I don't really have to deal with that. I have an amazing team led by a guy named Tommy who. Started out with Extreme Home Makeover.
Oh, right, I love that show.
That they go a whole home in a week. So he's really good with that stuff. So I learned a lot from him.
Move that bus.
Yeah.
How do you ever get grossed out by some of the houses?
Oh God, yes.
Have you ever almost puked?
Yes. Many times. There's some episodes where what you don't see is when cameras are not on, we have on face masks because the smell is just so bad.
And in doing that, are you like, I'm not cleaning out this shit. I'm sorry, we have to hire other people because I'm gonna puke.
Yeah. When we have homes that are that bad, we will usually bring in a kind of a hazmat cleaning crew.
Ugh.
Yeah, because I don't want to do it, and I don't expect my team to do it. We bring in that comes out of my budget though as well. So we'll bring in professionals that will. When we were filming season 5, there was a home with mold issue, and we had to go in and take care of that before we could send our crew in there, because otherwise it wasn't healthy.
Do you keep in touch with any of the heroes?
Quite a few of them. Neil from season 1 was one. Yeah, I talk to him all the time. Jess from season 4? Black Girl Magic. And then Wes from season 4. Matt Moreland from season 4, the farmer. Yeah, so quite a few of them. Corey now and then the cop. He's no longer a cop. He's opened up a healthy juice bar now. It's so cute.
That's great. let me see. This is from Juicy Scoopers, this is not from me. What is the biggest bullshit Pinterest interior trend that you hate?
All of them. I don't even know. Like I don't.
Well, what's a trend that you think people should avoid? That's like on its way out that you shouldn't do. It's not classic. It's a mistake people might be making.
You know what? Personally, I don't really believe in trends. I don't think you should be against trends. I don't think you should be before them. I think you should have things in your home that really make you happy, and as Marie would say, spark joy.
Yeah.
You know, if the thing that sparks joy for you is a creepy ass clown collection, do it.
All right.
You know, but
yeah.
I don't believe in doing your home in a way that's just trendy. Oh, this is the hottest thing, so I should do my home like this because this is what's going to be cool. No, do what makes you happy.
And what's easy tips for redecorating your home, do you think?
For me, find that one. If you don't know what your aesthetic is, and we run into that with the heroes all the time, they have no idea.
Mm-hmm.
So I've gotten to where I don't even ask them about design anymore.
Yeah.
I ask them about other things in their life, like their favorite movies or shows or dream vacation. And, you know, that's often how I end up making a home feel so personal for them because I ask them about things completely unrelated to design. So
that.
find, you know, if you don't understand exactly what your design aesthetic is, go on Pinterest. Start pinning things. And it doesn't have to be just design stuff. It can be your favorite sweater. And if it's a big chunky knit sweater, hey, you probably would like some big, like, crocheted pillows and chunky throws, you know, like you can figure out things that you'd like in your home by other things in your life that you are confident about. So fashion or travel, you know. Yeah.
That's great. What did you think about how how do I say? Karam. I mispronounce everyone's name. It's something I do.
Was calling him on the way here.
It's not like that. I'm not.
Was calling him on the way here, and Siri thought I said grandma instead of Karamo, and it's like, I don't know who your grandma is. And then they were like, what's your grandma's name? I'm like, Karamo Brown. And then it's like, would you like me to remember that Karamo's your grandma? And I'm like, yes, actually. So now, when I call him, all I'll have to say is call Grandma.
Yes.
And he is the oldest. So.
How did you feel about how he was treated on Dancing with the Stars? Because a lot of people thought, you know, he was the best and he wasn't treated as so.
Honestly, I didn't watch a lot.
I
was there. No, I still voted sometimes. I just didn't watch because, of course, I'm going to vote for him. I'm like, he could have been the worst, and I'm still going to vote for him. I went to watch live, but after that, like, I don't get to watch TV.
I know there's no time, right?
But I mean, anytime any of my castmates aren't treated perfectly, I get upset. You know.
I love that.
But then again, I'm one of the worst dancers ever, so I'm not one to.
So you don't think they're going to ask you?
They
if
might,
they
but
did
I don't
ask
think.
you.
Oh no.
You wouldn't.
No, I mean, there's an episode of Miss Wanda where a quote from Jonathan is, you know what? Some of my castmates are the mayor of Rhythmtown, and some of them are not. Rhythmtown, not.
Oh really?
Haven't you seen Lip Sync Battle?
Yeah. So do you plan on having kids?
Yes, actually.
And what about the rest of the cast? Do you know if they're...
I know Tan, I think, wants to have, like, 8 babies.
Okay.
He's insane. Him and Rob had actually... Tan was in the process of selling his companies when he got cast because him and Rob were going to start a family. And then he got cast, and that's been put on hold. But I know he wants kids. Karamo already has kids. In the very beginning, Karamo and Ian were talking about having another baby, and then they were like, oh, wait, no, we're crazy. We're just getting our last 2 out of the house. Why would we bring in another one? Anthony, I actually don't know. I imagine yes. I think Anthony would make a great father. He's so sensitive. And Jonathan, I think, eventually does as well. So, yeah, I think we all do, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then, you know, it's nice that in this day and age, no one has to.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And sometimes you get to a place, like I've had friends, where they're like, I never thought I wouldn't be a mom. But I'm not going to be, but I have nieces and nephew, and I have all these other great things in my life. It's not what I planned, but this is the way that it took me, and it's okay.
And there's also, like, I get so frustrated, especially when I hear this from women, that, oh, I'm in my late 30s now, it's too late for me. I'm like, no, it's not. Oh, my God, it's the perfect time.
Yeah.
To me, I'm like, great for the people who had them really young, but like, my sister is early 40s, and she's like, oh, they don't have kids, and she's like, you know, it's gone for me. I'm like, it's not. You could adopt, you know, kind of when you're in your late 30s, early 40s, you're like, all right, I know who I am now. I've had a lot of fun.
Yes.
I think it's the perfect time of my life to have kids. So I get frustrated when I hear people say, oh, no, I'm too old now. I mean, unless you're like 60, and then you're like, you probably shouldn't be in your 80s when your kids are in high school. But yeah, I think that no matter how old or young, well, not super young.
Or some people say that because it's like,
well,
good, now it's off the table. Stop fucking asking me.
Yes,
sometimes.
but so many of my close girlfriends have just had kids in their early 40s.
Oh, yeah. That's fine.
And I think it's so wonderful because they're now at this point in their life where they're like, I can be the best mom possible because I've
early
learned
40s
all those
is
mistakes.
definitely not too old.
No,
I mean,
not
I would
at all.
say early 50s, I think that's going to be difficult starting all over because all your friends with the kids are going to college.
All your friends' kids are having kids.
Yeah, so but 40s is, that's totally good. So the last thing I want to talk about that I thought was so special was when you shared that, in sharing that you had your issues with your church and not feeling comfortable being that you were gay and didn't want to go, that then you heard from a pastor that had preached against accepting gay people. Can you just tell a little bit about that? Because I think that's just so inspiring and beautiful of how you've touched people that you probably thought you could never get through to.
I think it was still season 1. And he slid into my DMs and told me about the fact that...
Which normally when people slide into your DMs,
right,
it's not for this.
thing.
Yeah.
As Liza would say, I think you want to be more than friends.
Yeah.
Proceeded to tell me how, his whole life he was taught that being gay was an abomination and evil and wrong. And he's a pastor and he's now taught that in his church, for decades. And after seeing the show and hearing me talk about the fact that I didn't choose to be gay, and every Sunday I would beg and plead and pray and cry for God not to make me gay, made him realize that it wasn't a choice. People don't choose to be gay; they just are. If you believe in God, God made you that way. And he's like, you know what? I will never preach that hate in my church again. I will, from now on, preach acceptance. And I've gotten countless messages like that now, and like
How
people
amazing.
whose ministers will reach out and be like, I now give your show as homework to our congregation that they need to be watching this show because this is actually how Christians should be acting.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I love that. So tell everybody about, I know you have a huge furniture line and people love it, and I want them to, be able to know where to get it, or, oh my God, I love these tables here.
Thank you.
I love this green.
Thank you.
And then you wore a cute jacket on top of it.
Cute little Philip Lim jacket.
Tell everybody how they can find your stuff.
So you can head to bobbyberk.com and go to the shopping section, and it'll bring up a list of retailers. I think we're in about 200 and something stores in the U.S. already, like 16 countries, constantly expanding more. Like the first 200 was just like the first wave of inventory we could get out there in like 3-4 months ago, and now the next wave of inventory is coming in. And so you can get it at American Signature Furniture, Value City, West Coast Living, All Modern, Wayfair, many more. BobbyBerk.com. You can find all of the retailers. This is also my art as well.
Oh,
Yeah.
I love that. That looks great with that lamp
Thank you.
in front of it.
Thank you.
And that couch looks really comfy.
Sofa.
Yeah, that's another thing. People should be comfortable in the furniture they buy.
So I've never liked the word couch because it kind of sounds like a grouchy cooch.
Yeah.
And no one really likes a grouchy cooch. I mean, some people might, but I don't think so.
Yes.
And so I've always said sofa just because I don't like the sound of the word
classier.
couch. But recently I actually learned that technically a couch is armless.
Oh.
Yeah. And so this technically isn't even a couch, even if you're comfortable with that word. Which
Interesting.
I'm not.
How can you have an armless couch, though? How does it end?
I guess it doesn't. I mean, you just fall off of it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bobby. Everyone can, get on Netflix, watch these episodes. And the new season comes to us back when?
I am not sure yet. Sometime
Sorry.
in early 2020. Yeah.
Awesome. Love it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, love.